Okay, let's read this shit. The Art of Fighting Games, Spring 2024, Japan 98, 2 units. So I have 2 degrees, but I didn't get them from Berkeley. I got it from somewhere else. And I will tell you, I did take electives. None of my electives were about fighting games. Let me read this shit. If you want to learn how to play fighting video games, like Street Fighter, you've come to the right place. Welcome to 1980s Japan. You are a salaryman coming home from a long day of work. But before you return home, you stop by the cultural haven of the entertainment industry at the time, the arcade. Arcades, and in particular fighting games, have always been a pillar of Japanese culture and media. From references in pop culture to a vast esports scene surrounding the genre, the modest origin of fighting games in arcades has evolved into a global phenomenon uniting community, competition, and culture all through the unlikely medium of games. Although the genre of fighting games has always been infamous for being a difficult genre of video games due to its seemingly higher levels of execution, in this course we are aiming to help bring beginners to a mid-level of play with guided assistance to offer the smoothest introduction to the world of fighting games. This class is designed to be an introduction to fighting games geared towards people with less than 100 hours in the genre. Additionally, we will also explore beyond the game itself and spend more time focusing on the community, history, and impact of fighting games on the Japanese culture. Besides just fighting game skill and knowledge, this course is also designed to serve as a gateway to understand modern Japanese culture and will offer students a way to interact with Japanese history and even the Japanese language. By the end of this course, you will be more proficient in the fundamentals of fighting games and be more knowledgeable about the genre overall, on top of having a more informed understanding of how modern-day Japan's media culture came to be. Attendance. All in-person meetings are on Tuesday and Thursdays in the evening. Okay, so it's a 2-day course. Makes sense for 2 credits. Probably about an hour a day, I would imagine. Prerequisites. There are no prerequisites. Extra experience in gaming would be helpful to have, but not necessary. The only thing you do need is a willingness to learn and fail. The course will not be graded on how well you perform in the game, but on your eagerness, commitment to improvement, and effort to... There's a syllabus. Attendance. Every time we meet, there'll be an attendance form to fill out. Okay, makes sense. You'll know if you're able, blah, 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 blah. You know, unexcused absence. 3 unexcused absence, okay. Homework every week except for exam weeks. There will be a reading, written assignment, or video submission to complete for credit. Each assignment will be due the following week before each Tuesday lecture. If you cannot complete the assignment within that time frame, please let us know so we can grant an extension. You'll need to complete 6 of 8 homework assignments to pass the course, but it's only worth 20% of your grade. Homework being 20%, but 6 out of 8 of them require you to pass. Exams, 20%. At the end of every chapter, there will be a Swiss-style tournament in which every student will fight other students. Replays of the matches will be saved, and to receive full credit, one must submit a reflection of their experience and what they think they should improve on. If a student is unable to make the tournament date, they will instead receive a separate project assignment related to the previous unit's material. You gotta play in a tournament for your exam? Research project, 30%. In place of a final, there will be a research project for students to complete in groups of up to 4. Each group will research a historically significant player in fighting game history and give a presentation to the class about the player's background, their contribution / impact on fighting games, as well as a short analysis of their playstyle through a video example. Example names are Bala. I know Bala. I'm not laughing because I know Bala's good, but fucking Bala. Justin Wong, Xiaohai, Daigo Umehara, and Tokido. Bro, all these dudes are alive though. Required reading: Japanese culture through video games, Rachel Hutchinson. Japanese hip hop, infinite on creating the this is not even a is this a this is a fucking video. This is a YouTube video. This is a whole ass YouTube video link. What is this? I'm looking this up. That's crazy. They want you to learn about third strike and hip hop. COVID is pulling the plug on beloved Japanese arcades. The making of Street Fighter 2 or a day in the life of a... These are mostly YouTube videos. They're YouTube videos. They're not even books. Where are like some of the other videos, bro? If we're gonna be using YouTube videos, what about books? Like, what about Daigo's Will to Keep Winning, or like Gutex's book? You have like, if we're gonna include like Japanese, how it is as a Japanese salaryman, shouldn't you include like Japanese content? Japanese culture through video games is probably the only thing here that would give you anything conducive of like actual Japanese culture, because everything else, a lot of fighting games actually didn't start up until the 90s. Yeah, I want to look into this now. Street Fighter 1 didn't come out until 1987. A lot of the time, most of the culture in Japan, while they did like fighting games, and obviously it was a, you know, it was a core factor in the arcade scene, it wasn't the only thing that was there. The first set of issues I have here, you can't really say that it's focused on like the sociological side of things, when like a majority of the content is mostly based around like how Street Fighter was made. Like, what about Third Strike? A lot of this stuff is YouTube videos, really. I heard that this is like a course that's being taught to people through students and not necessarily like actual teachers. So it is not a club. This is not like, oh, you go to a club like after school. This is legit like a college course that you're paying money for. Fighting games didn't start out until the 90s, 1000%. And when we talk about fighting games, Street Fighter 2 is really what blew Capcom up as like one of the best fighting games, or one of the best like arcade games at the time. It forced other people to start making fighting games, basically. And around like, I think the late 90s, I think 95, 96 maybe, I think Tekken was a thing. Virtua Fighter was happening. A lot of like, then you had like the I think Bronx, Last Bronx. This is a fighting game. But obviously the main ones were like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, actually. And then Tekken blew up on the scene. A lot of these games actually happened in the 90s. That was the fighting game zeitgeist, right? KOF was another game too, right? If you're talking about Street Fighter, you have to talk about how Capcom and, you know, they had a whole group of people for Street Fighter 2. And then when SNK was created, it was created off of like developers and other people that were working with Capcom. They kind of made their own group called SNK and created King of Fighters and Samurai Showdown. Yeah, around like 1994 and 1995, that was like big for fighting games. But it wasn't the 80s. So this is inaccurate, first of all. Secondly, you're trying to help people to become mid-level from someone that has less than 1,000 hours in fighting games in general to mid-level. That's like telling someone to not go 0-2 in a tournament. That's like mid-level. Like you're like taking some people out in the pools, but you're not making top 32 or anything like that. You're like intermediate. Once you start getting like top 32, top 16, top 8, that's when like you can be a gatekeeper or a high level player. I would say that is a good gauge of it. Another good gauge of it, if you want to bring up like rankings, I would say like an intermediate player can get master rank in Street Fighter 6. An intermediate player, I'm serious. Not a high level player. An intermediate player can get master rank in Street Fighter 6. What I mean by that is a new, brand fresh new player with less than 100 hours in the genre, a brand new player is 1000% not getting master rank. No matter how hard they try. No matter how hard they try. There's just too much to learn, both from the Street Fighter aspect, but also from a fundamental fighting game aspect. Learning where to anti-air, what to anti-air with, what to react with, right? Like in certain ranges, what your main bread and butter should be, things like that. There's like a whole list of things you have to learn. What character are you gonna pick? What kind of play style are you trying to do? What character looks the coolest to you? And is it gonna be something that you're gonna stick with, or is it a character that you're not gonna like later down the road and be forced to pick a different character as a result? Being in a character crisis is a damn big thing in fighting games for a lot of people, because it'll either be too many characters they're interested in or not enough characters that are interesting. The games that they're gonna play, they're focusing on Street Fighter. 1000% they're talking about Street Fighter. I don't think they're gonna be talking about any other game but Street Fighter. In general, if you're talking about a game like Tekken is not something you can sit down and learn within a college course. So like most college semesters are usually like 3 months. I took an elective music course and it was like 2 or 3 credits, and it was only an hour. You're only gonna be in there for an hour to learn the game. So I don't think through 3 months, so 3 months twice a week, 4 times 3 is 12. It's 12 total weeks. 12 times 2 is 24 courses, right? 24 courses you're gonna have to spend hoping to God you will become mid-level, and then you have to hope that you're not like, you have to do all the stuff offline too. Like you have to consider, like, after the class you have to do your homework, right? But the homework is all just watching videos. Part of fighting games is learning and relearning things and adding it into your like muscle memory. And most college students, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, do not have the time to spend playing fighting games. A lot of the people that are in college, hell, a good example of this, if you watch the Smash documentary, Korean DJ was a Smash player. I don't know if they still play Smash, but they had to go to college. They couldn't just keep playing. Same with Hungrybox. Hungrybox is obviously another example, right? Hungrybox had to just completely stop his job to play Smash full time, right? Like these are players that are prolific in the scene. They're like known for what they do. Hungrybox, no introduction, right? Most of the people that play fighting games at the highest level had to sacrifice everything. Relationship, jobs, college course, they literally took a Mango was another one. Mango, I think he graduated from high school and then that was it. Literally, like, they gave up everything in order to pursue fighting games at the highest level. Just take that in. And you are trying to teach students who don't play fighting games how to be mid-level in the span of 24 courses. It's not enough time when you consider you're trying to teach someone from the basics. They're also taking other courses on top of whatever other course they're taking. The homework is not really pertaining to them improving, but them watching the history and culture, which most of it is just talking about Street Fighter and its development. And there's only one real watching or reading of Japanese culture. No, it's not even about fundamentals. It's about learning when your turn is. Frame data as well. Understanding like when to take your turn, when to not take your turn, where to be on the screen to anti-air, what anti-air is needed in that situation, matchups, how they are played. Being mid-level, you have some idea of all of the matchups, how to anti-air, of what to do. You may not have the very minute details, but you have an idea, and that takes hours of practice, something of which you're not going to just be doing, because when you read through this, there's also other things like learning the you got to learn the language. They even said that you will also be more informed of how modern day Japan's media culture came to be. You're going to be able to understand modern Japanese culture, and this course will offer a way for students to interact with Japanese history and even the language. It's like they're teaching someone 2 different languages at the same time. You're teaching someone how to play fighting games, but also teaching someone how to speak Japanese. I could only guess that they're not gonna really go full gung-ho on the Japanese culture because they're not gonna have enough time. And I think it's more of just a way to write it off, so that way people could just focus more on the game itself. But then the problem lies, these are college students that have to take other courses. I will tell you, when I went to college, right, for my 4-year, I was cutting half my classes to play Street Fighter. I passed. I have a 3.2 GPA. I'm pretty solid. You know, I cut classes though. I got A's in those classes anyway from cutting them. It did not matter. So I'm telling you, I was skipping class to play Street Fighter. You do not have enough time from this course alone to learn how to play. You don't. As a mid-range, to be a mid-level fighting game player, it's a lot. It's actually quite a lot you have to learn. It's quite a lot. Now, from what they expressed about like the exams, right? So like there's a Swiss style tournament. I want to know, are there going to be like multiple setups, or is it going to be one setup? All the replays are going to be saved of the matches. How are you going to give that to each person so they can improve? They would have to sit down and watch the replay after they play. That's going to take way too long. I mean, with any discipline, courses alone will only take you so far. You need to work on things on your own time if you really want to get good. But I'm saying, how can you? That's the problem. You're a college student. How? It's not like it's something that's going to even be pertaining to your career. Let's say you're going to college and you want to learn how to be... Fuck it. Let's look at me, right? Granted, you know, I'm not doing anything with the degree at the moment. But let's say you want to be a lawyer, integrated in some form of criminal justice. Your main focus, right, is going to be to learn like the criminal justice suite, like everything about the judicial branch, how the government works. You're going to have to learn about like the different precedent law with Supreme Courts. There's a ton of different constitutional provisions you have to learn. You have to learn about like the way in which each of the amendments are given. You're given constitutional rights, right? Like you have to learn so much and read so much of that. There's so many research papers you have to write, so many dissertations you have to do, presentations you have to go through with each of your classes, and that is your main major. That is your major. People sometimes go for a major and a minor, right? Or some people are crazy and they do a dual major. But the point I'm making is whatever you're focused on, right? Your main major, that's what's going to be what you're interested in. This is a fucking elective. You're asking people that aren't even looking into the fighting game stuff as a major to do this shit and get to a mid-level. That's impossible. You do not have the time. This elective offers 24 courses. This is mid-level from no prior experience. You have less than 100 hours. It's impossible. That's the point. Golf class is an elective too. I think your scale of expectation is a bit higher than theirs. What are you talking about? Golf class is an elective. People can take golf as an elective just as they can take music as an elective. They don't necessarily have to be good at it, the same way they don't necessarily have to be good at fighting games. However, fighting games, they recognize it themselves that it's a difficult genre because it has a high level of execution. You have to also remember that there are other factors, the psychology behind how and why people do things, right? Even from a mid-level perspective, you are thinking about these things. Mid-level and high-level, right? The difference between the two is that one is more consistent than the other. That's the difference. The difference is that a high-level player is more consistent at winning games than a mid-level player. A mid-level player is not consistent. They have a few holes here and there, but they generally understand fighting games. They might just be playing loose with what they mean by mid-level. They want to help bring beginners to a mid-level of play with guided assistance to offer the smoothest introduction into the world of fighting games. This class is designed to be an introduction to fighting games, geared towards people with less than 100 hours in the genre. What do you mean by mid-level player then from a player who only has 100 hours or less in the genre? The average person is just not good at these games. They're not. It's why they've had to design all these games to be more welcoming to casuals by offering a lot of tools to allow them to get into the fight easily. When we talk about mid-level, there's a clear definition of that. And it really depends on whose 100 hours is better than the other. That's another thing. Whose 100 hours or less of playing a fighting game is better than the other person's 100 hours or less. They are grading you on eagerness, made up 80s history. The mid-level is what you consider toddler level. What do you do in a fighting game? What is the goal of a fighting game? I like that you mentioned that. They're grading you on eagerness. These are people teaching you how to play fighting games. And if they are saying that they're going to get you to mid-level and they're not even at fucking mid-level, what does that tell you about this course? On top of which, if they're grading you on eagerness, I have to ask, what is the goal of playing a fighting game? The goal of playing a fighting game and playing the game is to win. The goal of playing the fighting game is to deplete the other person's life bar through various actions in the game and interactions between both players. That's the goal of a fighting game. Someone's gonna win and someone's gonna lose. In order to improve, yes, you have to lose, but eventually you need to see the improvement from those losses and eventually win. Because if you just lose, learn, you keep playing and you fucking keep losing, you're not really gonna get anywhere. You're not improving. You're just losing constantly. It has to be based on results, on like, what is causing you to win more? What is making things effectively easier for you to win with? And then you can refine on that and build upon that. Of course, you have to also avoid other hurdles like getting into a flowchart, autopiloting, things of that nature. But generally speaking, the goal remains the same no matter what level of play it is. You don't just go and fucking play football and be like, oh, I'm just gonna play it. You want to win. That's like the whole reason you're playing. You want your team to win, and that's it. It's the same with soccer or any other competitive sport or any other competitive medium. Anything with the goal of competition is the point of being able to actually do well and win. It's not likely that you're going to be mid-level, and it's not likely that you're going to learn anything about the culture either, because they're wrong on a factual level. Most fighting games blew up within the 90s. Most of the actual stuff you're learning about when it comes to fighting games actually comes from American culture. It's not even Japanese culture, because while there was Japanese tournaments such as like Super Battle Opera, most of the eventful stuff that happened was actually in American arcades. Like if you remember Chinatown Fair or Playland Arcade back in the day, like that was the fighting game culture. It's not to say that Japan didn't have it. Obviously they did, but it's not as prolific, right? Last I checked, Daigo didn't fight Vai in Japan. This is not even on the fucking syllabus for YouTube videos. What are we doing? This is 1998. Dog. Bushin Style uploaded this. Dog. I'm not kidding. Bushin Style uploaded this shit. They're at the Golden Gate Bridge. Dog, this is America. Whole ass promo. Alex Savai. Hi, how you doing? What's up? It's all about Cali. Cali power. About time I play a Japanese champion. Fucking iconic. Iconic. And they go over the match in fucking 240p. They go over the match in fucking 240p. Dog, that was Vi doing that shit. That was Vi doing that shit. CRT, no input lag. Hold this fucking sweep custom combo activation. The Vi CC. If that is not in the fucking syllabus, I don't know what the fuck is. A lot of the culture with fighting games happened in the 90s. A lot of the arcade boom happened within America. I'm not saying that Japan didn't have a culture. It certainly did. I'm sure it did. Like I said, I could even show you Super Battle Opera.
Instead of a small area in an arcade with a dozen or so pro typists, this was now an arena, and everybody could enter the fray, due in no small part to Enterbrain's sponsorship of the event. So here's the breakdown of how it worked. The qualifying rounds would begin in the spring, usually around April. These qualifiers would be spread throughout arcades all across Japan over the course of the summer. Then, once the players had been qualified, the finals would begin over a 2 to 3 day period the following August in Tokyo. Depending on the game, the players either compete individually or in teams of 2v2 or 3v3. SBO was also single elimination, meaning if you or your team loses even just one set, it's over with. There was no losers bracket in a tournament like this. Enterbrain basically said this fighting game shit get serious.
That was Super Battle Opera. That was Super Battle Opera. Single elimination. To qualify, you had to play around Japanese arcades. That was their culture. And that was in the fucking early to mid 2000s. That wasn't even fucking 90s. Daigo was winning like fucking tournaments and arcades and shit before Super Battle Opera was a thing. We're talking about like 240p Guilty Gear tournaments with fucking Daigo playing Soul. It's just, and if you're talking about from a fighting game perspective, it's just inaccurate. Nothing happened in the 80s. In the 90s, most of the stuff that actually happened was in America, not really in Japan. Not to say Japan didn't have a culture for fighting games. It obviously stemmed from Japan first, but it was mostly America that it really blew up in. They are not capable of teaching the massive amounts of, like, the wealth of history and knowledge that exists within the genre, right? They're not capable of doing that. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that this course exists, because I'm happy that a course for fighting games exists somewhere, because it is very much an informative level course. It's very much a sociological thing. Like, fighting games are sociological by nature. So I understand that there is an interest in being able to make a course like this. The problem is there are people that exist that could teach this course that are not dead. Like, you could hit up Daigo. Daigo even had a few courses himself. You could hit up Xiaohai. You could hit up Justin Wong. You could hit up fucking Maximilian. You could hit up Golden Sen. You know, you could hit up James Chen. You can hit up Alex Valle. A lot of these players and a lot of these fuck, Sajam would have been good. You could have picked anybody. But you know that if you pick any of those people from the outside, you'd have to pay them a salary. That's a lot of money. So why not just get students to do it? The students are enthusiastic enough. They feel like they know enough about the topic. Let's sprinkle in like, oh, you could learn some Japanese here too. So it makes it like, actually like, oh, they're not just wasting their time playing video games. They're actually learning the Japanese culture. When I think of going to a culture course, to a elective, and it's about culture, I want to learn about like that culture. I want to understand what I'm gonna get out of the class based on the substance that they're teaching me. So like, if I'm spending thousands of dollars to go learn fighting games, and I come out of that shit and I can't fucking go 3-2 in a tournament, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm not even talking about winning the tournament. If I took this course as a new player and I wanted to go to my fucking tournament because I was interested in playing fighting games, because this course told me that I could fucking play fighting games at a mid-level. If I go fucking 0-2, I'm gonna be pissed. At least if I go to the music class, I could pick up a shorty knowing the same fucking song I played in the music class. I could fucking make some money panhandling, at least. I go play fighting games, I'm gonna make no fucking money. Because guess what? You either have to commit all your shit to fighting games or you just don't do it at all. This is why people are mad. You are making a course that isn't going to guarantee people to actually gain the things that are described within the course. It's not going to teach people accurate information, or it's not going to teach them enough information within the span of time that they have. It's not. It's just not. It's not possible. Unless the course was fully focused on learning the fighting games as opposed to the other things like learning the culture or like learning the language of like Japanese or whatever, right? If it was like that, where it was just focused on the game, then I'd be like, okay, cool. But it's hard to sell that to an actual like college. And that's another thing too. How in the fuck are you gonna say I'm gonna be mid-level at a fighting game, but you gotta learn how Infinite came up with the theme song for Street Fighter 3? Yeah, I'm definitely gonna fucking know that when someone jumps at me, I anti-aired because fucking Infinite used the sample in the main fucking track of Street Fighter 3 that went. Bro, I'm never going to fucking fail. Anytime I hear that shit, I'm gonna anti-air. I needed to know about Infinite making the Third Strike theme for me to be able to anti-air. What? Like, no. The person playing against you is not thinking about the fighting game culture or anything about that. No one's feeling no killer groove when they're anti-airing you. They're not thinking about the killer groove, bro. They're thinking about, oh, he jumped, let me anti-air. Now what am I going to do after I anti-air? You can teach someone the culture about fighting games. You can teach someone how to play fighting games. But to condense both of those within 24 courses is just absurd. There's too little time. You have to consider who you're selling the course to. And if they're going to be paying thousands of dollars, you damn well know they want to take something from that course and apply it for the rest of their life. With what I got from my degree, I was able to work quite a few jobs. Granted, I'm a streamer now, but my thing is, my experience from college allowed me to get to places where I could get to, and I still have opportunities that I can take, you know? So it's at least worth the money. What the fuck am I gonna do with a 2 elective course? What am I gonna do with the 2 elective course? I want to take an elective course on learning, like the music course that I took. At least I could fucking sing, right? At least my singing can get me somewhere. Some of the other elective courses that I took, right? Like anything within music, cooking, anything. That stuff can actually help you. Cooking can actually fucking help you. Hey man, you may have fucking failed college, but at least you spent money and you went into debt, and now you can make food for yourself so you don't have to fucking buy food all as much. Cooking is a goated elective. That's what I'm saying. When it comes to you spending your time and money, that is always valuable. So when someone on Twitter tells you, stay fucking mad, why are you fucking mad? Because this is teaching us fighting games. The problem is that it's not good if it cannot live up to the goals that it's trying to teach the students. And the fact that it's being taught by students is terrible. It should be taught by people who actually care about the game and the genre, far past some fan. You will learn way more talking to Alex Valle or Golden Sen about the arcade culture on the East Coast and the West Coast combined than you would from a striver in 2020 just playing Guilty Gear Strive 5 times a fucking day for fucking 2 hours. And that's the point. If it's taught by students, it feels more like a glorified club than a class. I would be fine if it's a club, but it's a class. You're spending your money. Yeah, but that's the privilege, to be able to explore different fields without having to worry about job prospects. There's no job prospect in playing fighting games, though. The closest job prospect is being a content creator. And half the things you do to be a content creator do not necessarily mean you need to play fighting games to do it. And most people are not going to watch mid-level players play the game. They're not. Period. I think the fighting game community is a great resource to teach yourself fighting games. It's just most people don't want to put that effort in. And if most people don't want to put that effort in to learn that way, that they have to also spend money to try to fucking do that shit, best fucking believe they're not spending all their time fucking playing the game. Yeah, the fighting game glossary can teach you a lot of terms too. But I do think in general, you got to do the research, man. People don't want to do the research. They'll pay thousands of dollars to sit in a class and have a student tell them, hey man, play Guilty Gear Strive instead. But it's not great. It's just not a great thing. I think I would have been more accepting if it included people from the fighting game community to teach the course. If it included actual people that are still alive, still playing the games, that are prolific and are legends at the game and have a vast knowledge. Like, we're talking Golden Sen used to fucking pick out fucking payphones. He used to pick out payphones to gather money to go play at fucking Chinatown Fair, dog. We're talking about that arcade culture. Where is that? Are y'all gonna be talking about that? Are y'all gonna be talking about like Vi playing a lot of the Japanese people over here in America? Because if you talk about Japan fighting game culture, you gotta go into like the late 90s, early 2000s with Super Battle Opera. Because outside of that, it was just people just pressing buttons in arcades. You could talk about Daigo potentially getting beat the fuck up on in arcades. Are you gonna talk about that? Because that definitely happened. The arcade culture was not nice, by the way. Daigo got beat up for defeating an opponent at the arcades in his youth. Wouldn't be where he is today if he didn't face his fear of going back. That video, it covered this topic regarding like Daigo being young. And he literally was like, yo, I'm not sure how many times he punched me, but my face was covered in blood and badly swollen. As a young teen, this had a lasting impression on Daigo. He was afraid to go back to that particular arcade despite it being his preferred place to play video games. His anger towards himself for doing nothing caused him to experience many restless nights. While he avoided that location as a result of the incident, Daigo was unable to have any fun playing his favorite fighting games at the other arcades that was near his house. He was getting beat the fuck up in arcades. It was not a great time all in all in arcades. And this was just because he was winning. This was because he was fucking cooking people. People got so mad they beat the fuck out of him in real life. You want to learn? Learn these fucking knuckles across your face. Fighting games are fucking toxic. And part of playing these games is understanding that the other person that you're doing this shit to is not gonna be fucking happy. Someone's gonna win, someone's gonna lose. You have to be able to learn, to have the eagerness to learn. And most people don't fucking have that. Most people want to win. Most people want to fucking win, bro. I promise you. So that eagerness to learn shit goes out the fucking window when you actually want to play and learn fighting games. Because part of the eagerness to learn, you have to see results. You have to see like, okay, did this work? Okay, I'm going to do this more. Does this not work? Okay, I won't do it against this person, but I'll do it against this person because it might work better against this person instead of the other person, right? You have to be able to analyze what another person's doing. There's a lot of psychology. It's just, you have to go over the culture and talk to the people that exist right now. And the fact that that's not being done is really disheartening. It's a disservice, honestly. It's fine. People will eat it up because they know at the end of the day, they just see, ooh, fighting game course on fucking at Berkeley. Holy shit, let's go. Fighting game course. But consider the money you're spending and what you're getting out of it. Really consider like the money you're going to be spending and the potential debt you're going to be putting yourself into over a fucking fighting game course, and understand what skills are you going to be able to take with you from it. Because just saying, oh man, I'm happy a fighting game course is here, doesn't mean that the fighting game course itself is actually going to be good for you. I don't really think the course is great. I think they really need to get somebody there that actually has lived the experience. Otherwise, it's just a glorified club that you're wasting $2,000 on, and you're not gonna get much out of it. You just objectively can't learn everything in that short span of time. But you guys let me know what you guys think, because, you know I wanted to be positive about it, but the more I'm thinking about it, I'm just like, wait a minute, like this course might not be good, you know. But y'all let me know. I definitely want to see what footage is revealed. I want to see if anybody will record any of the classes that happen out there. Like the video, subscribe if you want to. I really would like it if you would subscribe. But please like the video or dislike it if you don't like it. Whatever you want to do. Let it get known to the algorithm and leave a comment down below. What do you think about this course? Do you think it's actually like beneficial? Let me know. And yeah, we'll see what happens with the Berkeley course.